3, 2, 1, ignition. Engines full power and liftoff of Falcon 9. Go SpaceX, go Starlink. To all SpaceXers, new and old, let's see what's out there. Occupy Mars.
SpaceX launched its Falcon 9 rocket earlier this morning from Cape Canaveral, Florida, for the rocket's 650th mission. But it's not the company's only launch today. SpaceX is making its historic debut. The company began officially trading at above its planned $135 per share valuation. That puts its current market valuation almost above its initial $1.77 trillion. But by our math, that makes Musk the world's first trillionaire. And while early private investors, I should say, will also make a lot of money, so are thousands of SpaceX employees. Musk spoke about his company's ambitions right before going public.
If you watch, whoever you are watching this, SpaceX wants to be able to take you to the moon, take you to Mars, and ultimately beyond. And I'm confident at this point that with the incredible team that we have here at SpaceX, that we will do that for you.
All right, let's go live now to CBS News Money Watch correspondent Kelly O'Grady. Kelly, thanks for your time today. Let's talk about the impact of this event. I got to say, personally, when we talk about this, I'm just like, what are they saying? IPO? Like, make it make sense to me. So for all of those people out there, like Americans who are not buying stocks, how can SpaceX shares actually affect them? Why should they care about this?
Yeah. So, well, first, IPO, it's an initial public offering. It's when a company that hasn't been listed on a stock market, it has been private. And yes, they've had investors, but they've been private investors. Now it opens up and the average person like you and me, it becomes publicly available to buy, some public ownership in the company. Now, this is a really exciting day because we haven't ever had an IPO of this magnitude, and we haven't really seen many major IPOs since the pandemic. There was really sort of a doldrums there for that type of activity. But how this is going to impact the average American, there's two ways. I would say the long term, this is really the gateway to the space economy, where we have so many of the different things that we are talking about in our daily lives, like data centers, maybe even up in space rather than outside, towns where people have shown a lot of frustration, right? But that's a long-term thing. This is just the company raising money to be able to do some of those things in the future. The more immediate impact is if maybe you're not someone that actually buys stocks, more of a day trader, but you might have a 401k. A lot of us do in this country. And the SpaceX stock is going to be fast-tracked to what we call the NASDAQ 100, and a number of index funds trade along the NASDAQ 100. And in fact, a lot of our 401ks have exposure to that. So you might actually have exposure to the SpaceX stock and you just don't even know it.
See, Kelly, this is why I like to have you here, because you make it make sense when it typically doesn't. All right, so several analysts, they've questioned the valuation of SpaceX ahead of the company going public. And the big question here is it really worth more than $1 trillion?
Well, the market thinks so. And I like to think of this in two different ways. There is market cap, market value of a company, and that is simply based on the share price and the number of shares outstanding. That is what comes together, is multiply those two numbers and you get that over 1 trillion number right now. But then there's another way to value a company, and that's actually based on their financials, the enterprise value, the business value. And that's really going to be interesting because SpaceX is losing money right now, okay? And so we are going to get, over the next couple of months, we're going to get their first time that they're going to have to report. A public company has to release their financials quarterly. So we're all going to be pouring through it. And that, I think, is going to be a really interesting moment where you see how the stock fluctuates. But by the way, it's also, when it's an Elon Musk company, it's not really always about that company. It's about the man. How much do they think they want to bet on Elon Musk?
Oh, yeah. And speaking of the man, Musk now becomes the world's first trillionaire. Can you help us put that number into perspective? I can't even wrap my head around it.
I know, right? It makes me think of the Austin Powers, like $1 trillion. It seems so far away, right? But now we have someone who's actually worth that amount of money, at least on paper, right? It's when you have money in the stock market, it's not like it's cash in the bank. But to put that in perspective, the U.S. economy, it's huge, right? Well, in 2025, the GDP, sort of how much the U.S. economy is worth, $31 trillion. So sure, $1 trillion doesn't seem like that big in comparison to that, but that is the entirety of the economic activity in the United States for 1 year. So $1 trillion for one person, that is crazy.
It is crazy indeed. Kelly O'Grady, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Have a great week.